Alright, so in this video we are going to go over some general settings in WordPress and learn about the interface and kind of some of the options that I like to set and uncheck. But before we get into that, let's start off with a joke to keep things interesting. So, why don't you see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're good at it. Alright. So let's jump in. So first thing, you're presented with the dashboard. If you're brand new to it, this might have some good information for you to review, but it's not necessarily needed. A lot of the times I remove this stuff. So we'll go ahead and dismiss this section. Now we're presented with a couple of basic default options or widgets, dashboard widgets. And depending if you have plugins installed, you might see more than this, but one way that you can remove some of this clutter is you can always drag it around if you want to do that. But under screen options, we can come over here and uncheck some of these. And pretty much the only thing that I like to have left showing is the activity, because it gives me a general overview of the site, you know, post and pages and what version of WordPress that you're running. So I like that one, so we'll keep that. Next thing that you probably want to do and jump straight into is into these settings. I usually like to clear this out. You don't really need the tag. If you want to set your time zone, feel free to do that. I kind of like seeing things uppercase. Other than that, there's not really too many settings you need to worry about here. I would make sure that maybe, unless you're running a membership site, make sure you leave that unchecked. Make sure this is always set to subscriber. You don't want people, you know, being added as administrators randomly. That would probably be bad. So a few quick things there to look at. One of the other things we probably want to do, we've got, well, we can look at this. Writing, I don't really do much in here, but it has to do with email. And if you needed to change some things here, maybe we'll do another video about that. Reading, one of the things I like to do is set home page, so we can go look at that. We'll go create a page and then come back to this, but you can see you can have a very specific home page if you'd like. Same thing for like a blog page to display all your recent posts. So I usually set this one to home. As far as search engine goes, you'll definitely want to make sure if this is a live site that is unchecked. If you're just working locally, or maybe you've got it on a staging server and you want to make sure that nothing's going to be indexed, you know, leave that checked. But when you go live, make for sure that is unchecked. I've seen a lot of client sites where nothing's showing up in Google, and it was because this was enabled. So that's something to look at. When it comes to discussion, you know, I typically turn off a lot of this stuff. I don't need pingbacks and trackbacks and all that, but you know, maybe your site does. I don't typically like people commenting. Most of the time it's just spam stuff anyways. I would use a different commenting system other than just native WordPress. So usually I'll make sure that people are logged in, so that way they have to comment that way. You know, I don't want emails. I want to make sure everything's approved. This just helps with a few things. There's other plugins to help with spam, but that's just typically what I like to check. Media, I don't really change anything here. Permalinks, this is a big one. If you already have an existing site, I'd recommend very carefully. Maybe if you have a long established site, probably don't want to change anything. But a custom structure with the category and post name in that order is great for SEO. If you have like a news site where you're always writing new and relevant articles, maybe the year and month and all that in your URL would probably be better. But most of the time, just a custom structure is what you want. So you can uncheck that, and we'll leave that selected. Okay, so next thing that we'd probably want to look at is users. What users do we have? What roles are they set to? You know, make sure there's people in here that you know who they are and what their purpose is, and remove anyone that's not. That's a good security checklist. You know, review your plugins. If there's any ones that are just sitting here from a basic install, that are just disabled, don't let them sit there. In fact, there's this new setting. I don't know if we covered this yet. Nope. Site health. Let's go look at that real quickly. So it mentions like, hey, remove inactive plugins. You know, this is kind of a little security checklist. This feature was brand new with version 5.2, I believe. So it gives you a little bit more information about your site and your server. You know, what PHP version are you running, that kind of thing. So it's really useful to help kind of know what you're working with when it comes to your site. Since we're in this section, we can talk about importing, exporting. You have a way, if you've got like a blogger site, to download all your posts and import them into WordPress. You install this little plugin here and you can do that. You can export all your posts, pages, or even custom post types if you have those too. So that's nice. Plugins, yeah, these ones, I usually just delete all this junk when I've got a fresh, clean install. I left this one because of you know, doing this video tutorial. I wanted to make sure I reset everything so I could kind of show you what happens when you have a brand new site. I probably don't need that one anymore after this. Themes are great. I recommend to always have the latest default WordPress theme. In this case, it's 2019. Right now, I'm sure 2020 will eventually come out. So these other ones, you probably don't need these. I would remove them and only leave whatever theme that you're going to have, and then the latest one there. Why keep them around, you know? And always keep these up to date. If you modify this and then you update it, well, it could wipe out your changes, so be aware of that. Comments, here's where you'll go to see any of your site or posts that have comments. I typically, my experience has been, I don't really ever use these or rely on it, but that doesn't mean that your site can or will. So for me, I just trash all this stuff and I don't do much with it. We've got pages and posts, and kind of the difference between the two is a page, you'd have something for contact information or an About Us page. Posts would be more of like your historic record or a new event or something that, you know, that's happening. Think of it that way. They're pretty much the same thing in what you can do, although posts allow you to add categories and tags and things like that. So think of this as more about posts being something that you could add to your blog or latest news feed, if you will. We've got media. I think I'll cover this in another video. But yeah, if there's some other stuff in here too, I think we should cover in another video as well, and that's the new block editor. Kind of go through some of these features and how this stuff works. I think that would be good. So yeah, that's kind of a basic overview. Maybe we can talk really quickly about publishing. Every page and post you can have three kind of defaults. One's public, right? Everyone can see it. You've got a private for people that are logged in or admins to the site. And you have some that are password protected, where you select this and then give it a password, and then only people can visit this page or post if they know the password. So it's pretty cool. You can also set what time a page or post will be published. So it's kind of a cool feature. So if I wanted to set this on the 14th and then, you know, give it a certain month or day or whatnot, you can do that as well. You can set featured images as well for your page or post. Be aware though that if your theme doesn't have this option, that might be something that you need to enable, and I can kind of show you that in more of the code part of this little series we're doing here with WordPress. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for this. I hope you found this useful. Hope you learned something maybe a little bit new, maybe about some of these settings. And I think we'll just kind of take each of these next little sections and dive deep into different areas of WordPress and learn some new things about it. So I hope you're excited, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. All right, later.